Hi students, welcome to Vidyalakshmi YouTube channel. So I am your new biology faculty here. So today we are going to discuss about reproduction chapter, which is very important concept in 10th standard as well as in our upcoming classes. Okay. So today we are going to start about reproduction chapter, reproduction in living organism. So here, as you know, reproduction is very important process. Okay, reproduction is very important process. Okay, so here reproduction is one of the important characteristic feature of all living organisms. So reproduction is one of the characteristic feature of all living organisms. So every living organism, it has ability to reproduce. Okay, so here reproduction, it occurs in all living once you see here. So by the reproduction here, by the process we got new organism. So like that, by the fish reproduction we may get new organisms. So and human beings we got new organisms. Like that, every living organism has the ability to reproduce. That is one of the characteristic feature of all living organisms. So that is called reproduction. So reproduction can be defined as the ability of any organism, any living organism responsible for the formation of new organisms. That process we can call as reproduction. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about the reproduction process in all living organisms, which includes higher plants, higher animals, lower plants as well as lower animals. So everything we are going to discuss in this topic now. Now you can see here. Yes, now you can see here reproduction process. So reproduction is nothing but the ability, the basic life process in which the formation of new organisms which are similar to their parents. That is called reproduction. So reproduction occurs in all living organisms. It includes plants, animals, higher plants, lower animals, lower plants. So every living organism has the ability to reproduce. That is called a reproduction. Okay. So reproduction is of two types: sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. So these are the two types of reproduction. One is sexual reproduction, another one is called asexual reproduction. So these are the two types of reproduction we can see in all living organisms. Okay, next. Yes. Now we can see here sexual reproduction. So we are going to discuss about sexual reproduction here. Okay. So sexual reproduction, it occurs most probably in higher plants as well as in higher animals. Sexual reproduction, it mostly occurs in higher plants as well as in higher animals. Okay, so this is the concept of sexual reproduction. Okay, so it occurs by the involvement of gametes. Sexual reproduction always occurs by the involvement of gametes. So these gametes are going to be differentiated or segregated into male gamete and female gametes. Okay, so these gametes are segregated, differentiated or divided into a male gamete and female gamete. So during sexual reproduction, both male and female gametes, both male as well as female gametes, both male as well as female gametes are going to be fused together. That we can call as combined together to form a zygote. So this is the concept of sexual reproduction. So the main concept of sexual reproduction here is it occurs in higher animals and higher plants, and during sexual reproduction, male gamete is formed from male organism, female gamete is going to be formed from female organism. So by the fusion of both male and female gametes, zygote is going to be formed. Okay, so that is the main concept of sexual reproduction. Okay, next. So you can see here it occurs in higher animals and higher plants. So phanerogams we can call flowering plants. So in flowering plants, phanerogams, flower is the main part of the plant involved in sexual reproduction. Flower is the main part of the plant which is involved in sexual reproduction in phanerogams. That is called flowering plants. Whereas in higher animals, so we can see that higher animals are considered as human beings or mammals like that. So within these higher animals, sexual reproduction occurs by the involvement of gametes. Okay. Next. Yes. So this is the concept of sexual reproduction. Next we can see asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction occurs without the involvement of gametes. See the variation. Sexual reproduction occurs by the involvement of gametes. Asexual reproduction occurs without the involvement of gametes. So if there is no gametes, there is no fusion. If there is no fusion, there is no zygote formation. Okay. So that is the asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction occurs without the involvement of gametes. So if there is no gametes, if there is no fusion. If there is no fusion, there is no zygote formation. But they can reproduce. That is called asexual reproduction process in living organisms. So asexual reproduction occurs in lower animals. So as you know, lower animals are we can call as invertebrates. So these invertebrates are called lower animals which are not well developed. So within these lower animals, particularly we can see asexual reproduction, and we can see non-flowering plants. So lower asexual reproduction occurs in lower animals as well as in non-flowering plants which do not consist of flowers. So if there is no flower, there is no sexual reproduction. That's what these organisms, these plants, they can reproduce asexually by asexual method. So that is the concept of sexual and asexual reproduction. So the main difference between these two is sexual reproduction, we can see the formation of gametes. So by the fission of gametes, zygote will be formed. But in asexual reproduction, there is no fission. So without fission, there is no zygote formation. Without zygote formation, they can reproduce. So that is called asexual reproduction process. Yes. Now we can see here. Here we have one diagram is called Datura flower. Okay. Here we have one other diagram is called Datura flower. Okay. Yes. Now we can see here. So Datura flower is an example of bisexual flower. Okay. So it consists of two gametes. So the word itself, bi means two. Okay. So two reproductive organs will be present. That is called bisexual flowers. Two reproductive organs. Okay. One is called androecium. So androecium is considered as a male gamete, male reproductive part. Second one is called gynoecium. Okay, so gynoecium is also called pistil. It is also called a female reproductive part. So male and female reproductive part both are present in one flower. Such type of flower we can call as bisexual flowers. So here Datura flower is an example of a bisexual flower. Okay, so that is the concept of this Datura flower. Yes, now we can see here. So gametes, so sexual reproduction, as you know the concept. So male and female gametes are fused together to form a zygote. Male and female gametes are fused together to form zygote. That is the main concept of sexual reproduction. Yes, now we can see how. So this occurs in earlier we told you. So sexual reproduction occurs in higher animals as well as in flowering plants. That is called phanerogams. Okay. So now we can see here the cells involved in sexual and asexual reproduction. So plant cells. Here the plant cells which are involved in sexual reproduction. The plant cells which are involved in sexual reproduction are stem, leaves, roots. Other than flower. Okay, that we can call as organs of the parts of the plant, parts of the flower of plants which are involved in asexual reproduction. Next one, sexual reproduction. The part of the plant which is involved in sexual reproduction are pollen mother cell, megaspore mother cell. Okay, the parts of the plants which are involved in sexual reproduction are pollen mother cell and megaspore mother cell. Here pollen mother cell acts as male gamete. Here pollen mother cell acts as a male gamete. Whereas megaspore mother cell, it acts as female gamete. Female gamete. Okay. So as in the concept of sexual reproduction. So during sexual reproduction, male and female gametes are fused together. Male and female gametes are fused together to form zygote. So that is general phenomenon we can see in sexual reproduction. Okay. So now we confirm that asexual reproduction of plants. Asexual reproduction occurs in plants by the help of stem, leaves and roots. Okay. Whereas sexual reproduction occurs in plants by the help of pollen mother cell and megaspore mother cell. So pollen mother cell acts as male gamete, megaspore mother cell acts as the female gamete. Next one concerned to animal cells. Animal cells. So the cells of animals which are involved in asexual reproduction. The cells of animals which are involved in asexual reproduction are skin, lungs, liver, heart. Other than reproductive organs like skin, lungs, liver, heart, kidney, like that. Okay. Other than reproductive organs. So they undergo asexual reproduction. Okay. Whereas sexual reproduction. So testes are the male reproductive organs. So testes, they used to produce sperm cells. So sperm cells are called male gametes. Sperm cells are called male gametes. Next, ovaries are present in females. So ovaries are the female reproductive organs. So these ovaries, they used to secrete ova, which are called female gametes. Okay. So now the concept of sexual reproduction is male gamete and female gamete are ready. So by the fusion of male and female gametes, zygote will be formed. So that is the concept of sexual reproduction. So these are the cells of plants and animals which are involved in sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Okay. Next. Yes, the concept of sexual reproduction in plants, very, very important here. Okay. So here, so just now I told that sexual reproduction occurs in plants. Sexual reproduction occurs always in plants by the help of flower. Sexual reproduction occurs in plants by the help of flower. Okay. So that's what flower is, the main part of the plant which is involved in sexual reproduction. Okay. Yes. Now we can see here. So flower is the main part of sexual reproduction which we can see in plants. Okay. So why the flower only involved in sexual reproduction? Why can't the other parts of the plants involved in sexual reproduction? Because sexual reproduction, just now we have discussed, sexual reproduction essentially they need male reproductive organ and female reproductive organs. Male gamete and female gametes. So these male gametes and female gametes are present only in flowers. Male gamete and female gametes, both these two are present only in flowers. So that's what flower is, the main part of the plant which is involved in sexual reproduction. Okay. So that is the concept. Now we can see here. Yes. Flower. So classification of flowers. Okay. Here we have two types of flowers based upon the gametes. Two types of flowers. Okay. One is unisexual plants. Okay. Unisexual plants. So the word itself, uni means one. Uni means one. Okay. So unisexual plants can be defined as that these are the plants which consist of only one gamete flowers. Okay. The plants of these flowers which consists of only one gamete, either a male gamete or female gamete, but never both. Okay, again I am repeating. So unisexual plants or unisexual flowers are the flowers which consists of only one gamete, either it is male gamete or female gamete, but never both. Okay, so such type of flowers you can call as unisexual flowers. Unisexual flowers. Okay, so best example for unisexual flowers is watermelon. Watermelon. Okay, best example for unisexual flower. Okay, next one is bisexual flowers. Bisexual. Okay, so bisexual can be defined as that. So the word itself, bi. Bi means two. Bi means two. Okay, so here bisexual plants or bisexual flowers can be defined as these are the flowers which consist of both two, that is male gamete as well as female gamete. The flowers which consist of both male and female gametes, such type of flowers are called bisexual flowers. Okay, again I am repeating, unisexual flowers are the flowers which consists of only one gamete, either it is male gamete or female gamete, but never both. So such type of flowers are called unisexual flowers. So best example for unisexual flowers are nothing but watermelon. Okay. Second one is called bisexual flower. So these are the flowers which consists of both the two gametes. One is male gamete and the other one is called female gamete. So such type of flowers you can call a bisexual flowers. So best example for bisexual flowers are datura flower, hibiscus flower, like that. Okay. So this is about classification of flowers based upon gametes, unisexual and bisexual flowers. Next, sexual reproduction in flower, very important. The concept is very important. Yes, you can see here. Yes. When we observe sexual reproduction in plants, first of all, we can go through the intaking of a bisexual flower. That is called as bisexual flower. That we can consider as datura flower. Okay. So when we observe the datura flower, which is bisexual flower, it consists of four essential parts. Okay. So these four parts are categorized into two types. The parts of datura flower are divided into two types. This include, first one is called non-accessory parts of the flower. Okay. Or these are also called as non-essential parts of the flower. Non-accessory parts of the flower and non-essential parts of the flower. Why we can call non-accessory or non-essential parts of the flower? Because these parts of the flower directly won't involved in sexual reproduction. These parts of the flower, they can't involve in reproduction, sexual reproduction. So that's what we can call non-accessory parts of the flower. But these are essentially required to initiate the process of sexual reproduction. These are the essential process required to initiate the process of sexual reproduction. Let us see what are the parts of non-accessory and accessory parts of flower. So non-accessory parts, these include calyx and corolla. So these are the two non-accessory parts of the flower, calyx and the corolla. Okay. So now we can say about calyx. Here. Yes. So whenever we observe in the diagram here, once you see this green color part of the flower, so this we can call as sepals. Okay. So the units of calyx are called as sepals. Units of calyx we can call as sepals. Okay. So calyx is the outermost part of the flower. Which is in a green color. And this calyx, it consists of green colored units are called sepals. So sepals are the units of calyx. Okay. And the main function of calyx is useful to protect. The inner parts or inner poles of the flower, of the datura flower. Okay. So in internal we have corolla, androecium, gynoecium, different parts. All these parts are being protected by calyx. So that's what calyx is called, outermost part of the flower, datura flower. And it consists of green color units are called sepals. Okay. So that is the function of calyx or sepals. Okay. Next one we can go to see, yes, calyx. So outermost part of the flower. Okay. And it consists of green color units are called sepals. So sepals are the units of calyx. Okay. And next we can see here, the function of calyx is it protects the internal or inner parts of the flower. That is the main function of calyx. So next we can see second part is called corolla. So corolla is the second outermost part of the flower. Corolla is the second outermost part of the flower. Here you can see the diagram here. So here we have pollen tube. Okay. So just above the pollen tube we have, here we can call as corolla. So the units of corolla are considered as petals. Units of corolla are called as petals. So petals are in a brightly colored petals. Okay. So they are attractive colors. So because of the presence of brightly colored petals, these petals will attract the insects. When the insects come towards the flower for getting of nectar, these petals attracted by the insects, and then these insects, they can facilitate the process is called as cross pollination. Very important process called cross pollination. Okay, so pollination is essential process before fertilization. So that pollination is initiated by the insects and with the collaboration of pollen grains. So that's what pollen grains are very important. Okay, so this is about corolla. Okay, so it is the second outermost oval of the flower and it consists of brightly colored petals. So the units of corolla are called petals. So petals are useful to attract the insects because of a brightly colored petals. Okay, so this is about corolla. Okay, so these kinds of brightly colored petals, that is called pollen grains. Okay, next one, because of the presence of brightly colored petals, they attract the insects, and by attracting the insect, they can facilitate the process is called a cross pollination. So cross pollination is an essential process before fertilization. Pollination is an essential process before a fertilization. So that we can see at the time of fertilization process. Okay, so this is about fertilization. Okay, so these are the two non-accessory parts of the flower. So now we got two non-accessory parts of the flower are, one is calyx and the second one is called corolla. So units of calyx are called sepals. Units of corolla are called petals. So these are the two non-accessory parts of the flower. Next we can see accessory parts of the flower. Accessory. So accessory parts of the flower, these include two types. Okay. First one is called androecium. Accessory parts of the flower. Yes. Accessory parts of the flower. Okay. So these accessory parts we can also call as essential parts of the flower. Accessory parts we can also call as the essential parts of the flower. Why we can call these as accessory or essential parts? Because these are directly involved in sexual reproduction. So these are directly involved in sexual reproduction. That's what we can call these parts of the flower as accessory or essential parts of the flower. Okay. So these accessory parts, it includes, we have two parts. First one is called androecium. Androecium. Okay. So androecium is one of the accessory part of the flower. So androecium we can also call as male reproductive part. Androecium we can also call as male reproductive part. Okay. So male reproductive part. And androecium, it consists of filament, anther and stamens. Filament, anther and anther lobe. All these are going to be present. So all these are going to be combined together to form stamens. Stamens. Okay. So stamens are the units of androecium. Stamens are the units of androecium. Okay. So now we got male reproductive part with the units. So one of the important accessory part is called androecium. So androecium, it consists of filament, anther and anther lobe. Filament, anther and anther lobe. So all these parts are going to be connected together. All these parts are going to be connected together. We can call as stamens. So stamens are the units of androecium. Okay, that is about androecium, male reproductive. And the main part of androecium is it is involved in sexual reproduction. It is involved in sexual reproduction because it is one of the part of male reproductive part. It is a male reproductive part of the flower. That's what it is involved in sexual reproduction. Okay, that is about androecium. Next, we are going to see about female reproductive part. Female reproductive part. Second one, accessory part. Okay, so female reproductive part we considered as female reproductive part we can call as gynoecium. Gynoecium. So gynoecium is considered as a female reproductive part. Gynoecium is considered as female reproductive part, and this gynoecium we can also consider as, we can also call as pistil. Gynoecium we can also call as pistil. Pistil, that is the other name of gynoecium. Okay, so gynoecium is female reproductive part. So we just now we have seen about androecium. So androecium is the male reproductive part. Androecium is the male reproductive part. Okay, next one is gynoecium. So gynoecium is the female reproductive part. So gynoecium is the female reproductive part, or it is also called as a pistil. And this gynoecium, it consists of style, stigma, ovary and ovules. Style, stigma, ovary and ovules. All these are the different parts of gynoecium. So all these parts are connected together, combined together. All the parts of gynoecium, style, stigma, ovary, ovules. Style, stigma, ovary, ovules. All the parts of gynoecium are combined together to form carpels. Carpels. So carpels are the units of gynoecium. Carpels are the units of gynoecium. Okay. So that is about 4 parts of the flower. 4 parts. Okay. 4 parts of Datura flower. So first one is non-accessory parts of the flower, accessory parts of the flower. So non-accessory parts include calyx, corolla. Accessory parts includes androecium, gynoecium. Okay. So calyx is one of the non-accessory parts, and the units of calyx are called as sepals. Sepals. Okay. Next part is called corolla. Corolla. So the units of corolla are called as petals or pollen or pollen grains, anyone we can say. So calyx units are sepals, corolla units are petals. Next one is androecium. Androecium. So the units of androecium we can call as stamens. Stamens. So androecium is the male reproductive part, and the units of androecium we call as stamens. And next one is called gynoecium, which is called female reproductive part. Just now I had explained, gynoecium is also called pistil. So the units of gynoecium are called as carpels. So these are the parts, holes of the Datura flower with the units. So calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium. So units of calyx are called sepals, units of corolla are called petals, units of androecium are called stamens, units of gynoecium are called carpels. So this is about the anatomy of the flower, anatomy of the Datura flower. Okay. Next. Yes. Next, we are going to see here. So just now I told, ovary, style, stigma, ovary, ovules are present within the gynoecium of the flower. Style, stigma, ovary, ovules are present within the Datura flower. Okay. So now we can see here, when we observe the Datura flower, particularly in the sense of gynoecium or pistil, so inside the ovary, we have several sac-like structures that we can call as ovules. Inside the ovary we have several sac-like structures. Here inside the ovary we have several sac-like structures. These we can call as ovules. Ovules. Okay. And ovary with pipe-like structure is called style. So this pipe-like structure, this is ovary. Inside the ovary we have ovules, and this ovary ovules connected with style-like tube-like structure we can call as style. Style. And the tip of this style we can call stigma. Tip of this style we can call stigma. So these are the 4 parts of Datura flower. Okay. Next. So why gynoecium is called female reproductive part? Because it is involved in sexual reproduction. So that is the main function of gynoecium. So now we got male reproductive part is called androecium, female reproductive part we can call gynoecium. So androecium and gynoecium, male as well as female reproductive part are going to be ready. Okay, then fertilization will occur. Okay, so before to see the fertilization process now here. Okay, so these are non-sexual reproduction, and the flower attaches the stem by stalk-like structure. So when we observe the Datura flower, the flower is always on the stem. The flower is present always on the stem. So the place at which flower is arised from the stem, the place at which flower has been formed from the stem, that place we can call as pedicel. Pedicel. The place at which flower is attached on the stem, that place we can call as a pedicel. It is a stalk-like structure. Okay. Yes. So some flowers they consist of pedicel. Some flowers they consist of pedicel. Such type of flowers are called pedicellate flowers. Some flowers they consist of pedicel which are originating from the stem. Okay. Some flowers they are originating from the stem. That type of flowers are called pedicellate flowers. And some flowers they do not have pedicel. Some flowers they do not have pedicel. Such type of flowers are called non-pedicellate or sessile flowers. Non-pedicellate or sessile flowers. Yes. Next one, thalamus. So thalamus can be defined as the swollen part of the flower. So the swollen, just swelling, the small little bit swelling part of the flower, which is present at the tips of the pedicel, at nearby tips of the pedicel. So at the tips of the pedicel, the shape of the flower is going to be expanded like this. That shape you can call as thalamus. So the swollen part of the pedicel is called thalamus, where flower has been formed. Okay. So the flowers with pedicel are called pedicellate flowers. Flowers without pedicel are called non-pedicellate or sessile flowers. Okay. So this is about thalamus. Next. Yes. Now we have seen about anatomy of the flowers. Okay. So now we have 4 parts of the flowers: calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium. Calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium. Okay. So androecium and gynoecium are the essential parts involved in sexual reproduction. Okay. So now we can see here sexual reproduction occurs in plants by the involvement of gametes. So male gamete as well as female gamete, both the two gametes are going to be essentially required for the process we can call sexual reproduction. Now here we can see formation of male gamete. Yes. Formation of male gamete. So earlier I told that male gamete is considered as pollen mother cell. Male gamete is called a pollen mother cell. Now we can see how this pollen mother cell has been formed for sexual reproduction in flower. Okay. So now we can see here pollen grains. So I told earlier that pollen grains or petals are present within the second part of the flower. We can consider as second part of the flower we can consider as corolla. Okay. So these pollen grains they are developed in anther. Okay. So anther is one of the part of androecium. Anther is one of the part of androecium. That is called male reproductive part, androecium. Okay. So earlier we discussed about the parts of androecium and gynoecium. So androecium, it is one of the part of male reproductive part. That is called androecium. So pollen grains are developed in anther, and this anther it consists of 2 anther lobes. Pollen grains are developed in anther, and this anther it consists of 2 anther lobes. Okay, and each anther lobe has 2 pollen chambers. Okay, so here we have 2 anther lobes. So each anther lobe it consists of 2 pollen chambers. Okay, next one, anther consists of spore forming tissue, which is very important tissue. So anther it consists of spore forming tissue. So tissue in the sense of cells. Okay, tissue in the sense of cells. So some of the cells of this spore forming tissue, they undergo the process is called meiosis. Okay, so some of the cells of these spore forming tissue, they can form pollen mother cell. Okay, so spore forming tissue, some of the cells of this spore forming tissue, they can form pollen mother cell. So this pollen mother cell, they undergo meiosis. So this pollen mother cell, they undergo meiosis to produce 4 daughter cells. 4 daughter cells. Okay. Out of the 4 daughter cells, 3 will get disappear. 3 will get disappear. So 4 daughter cells will be formed. Out of the 4 daughter cells, 3 will get disappear. So out of 3 minus 4, out of 3 out of the 4, we may have only 1. Okay, only 1. So that 1 acts as pollen mother cell. Pollen mother cell, which we can call as male gamete. Male gamete. So this is the method of formation of male gamete. Okay. So again I can repeat here. So once you see here formation of male gamete. So male gamete is essential for fertilization. Okay. So this is the way of the formation of the male gamete. Okay. So pollen grain, they are developed in anther. So pollen grains are developed in anther, and anther, it consists of 2 anther lobes. Pollen grains are developed in anther, and anther, it consists of 2 anther lobes. So these 2 anther lobes, they consist of pollen chambers. Pollen chambers. 2 pollen chambers. Okay. So this anther, it consists of spore forming tissue. Spore forming tissue. So tissue in the sense of cells. So number of cells are combined together to form tissue, as you know. So some of the cells of this spore forming tissue, they can form pollen mother cell. Okay. So this pollen mother cell, they undergo the process is called a meiosis to produce 4 daughter cells. 4 daughter cells. So out of the 4 daughter cells, 3 daughter cells will get disappear. 3 daughter cells will get disappear. Okay. So 4 minus 3, we have only 1. So that 1 acts as pollen mother cell. That is also called as male gamete. So this is the way of the formation of a male gamete. So this male gamete we can also call as microspore. Microspores. Micro means small. Okay. So that's what they are considered as. A male gamete are also called microspores or a male gametes. Okay. And the study of pollen grains. The study of pollen grains you can call as palynology, which is very, very important. The study of pollen grains you can call palynology. So palynology is a branch of science which deals with the study of pollen grains. Okay. And these pollen grains are weightless. The pollen grains are weightless and they are easily dispersed by different types of pollinating agents. Okay. Pollen grains are weightless and they are easily dispersed by different types of pollinating agents. So these pollinating agents, it includes wind, water, animals, insects, birds, animals, different types. All these we can consider as a pollinating agents. Okay. So seed dispersal agent. So this is about formation of male gamete. Okay. Next we are going to discuss about. So now the male gamete is going to be ready. Okay. Now we can see the formation of female gamete. And before to say this formation of female gamete, we can see about the process is called pollination. Okay. So earlier I told that pollination is an essential process before fertilization. Pollination is an essential process of before fertilization. So pollination can be defined as the process of transfer of pollen grains. The process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. So anther is on the part of male reproductive part. Stigma is on the part of female reproductive part. So here the pollen grains are transferring from anther to stigma. That process we can call pollination. So pollination again 2 types. Self-pollination and cross-pollination. So self-pollination. So the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of same flower. The process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of same flower. That process we can call as self-pollination. Self-pollination, and most probably this self-pollination occurs in bisexual flowers. Okay, Nama? Bisexual flowers. Okay. Next one is cross-pollination. So cross-pollination can be defined as the process of transfer of pollen grains from anther of one flower to stigma of another flower. The process of transfer of pollen grains from anther of one flower to stigma of another flower. That process you can call cross pollination. So it occurs between two flowers. That is called, it occurs between two flowers. That is called unisexual flowers. Okay. So self as well as cross pollination. Next we can say after pollination. So after receiving pollen grains by stigma, from anther to stigma, it gives pollen tube. So through pollen tube, the pollen grains are going to be transferred. So this pollen tube, only one pollen tube, it can reach us to embryo sac of female reproductive parts. Okay. So this pollen tube has two male nuclei. So this pollen tube, it consists of two male nucleus or two male nucleus or two pro-male nucleus. Anyone you can say. Okay. So they can penetrate at the time of fertilization. So this pollen tube enters into ovule through small hole-like structure. So we can see here diagram. Yes. So this is the diagram. Okay. So this pollen grain, okay, they can enter inside of this tube. Yes. So this pollen tube here, inside of this, it is entered into this small hole-like structure. This we can call as micropyle. So through the micropyle, the pollen grain are going to be entered inside. So inside of this, we have embryo sac, we have embryo like this structure with 7 cells. Okay. So now we can see here, ovules are present inside the ovary, and the ovules are formed from the cushion like structure of the ovary. So ovules connected to placenta here, ovules connected to placenta by a stalk like structure we can call a funicle, and the tissue present around the ovary. So here the tissue, this tissue present around the ovary we can call as nucellus. So this is the way of formation of female gamete. So first of all, ovary attached to ovules by funicle, okay, and ovules directly attached to funicle by placenta, okay. So the tissue surrounding the ovary we can call as nucellus, and this nucellus, it is surrounded by two integuments. So this is one integument and this is one more integument. Two integuments. This is outer integument and this is inner integument. So two integuments will be present. Okay, outer and inner integument. Two integuments will be present. Okay. So these integuments are of two types, outer and inner integument. Just now I told you. So these two integuments has small pore or hole-like structure. See here, this is outer integument and this is inner integument. So these two integuments, they can serve small hole-like structure we can call as micropyle. Okay. Next. So the basal part of ovule in which two integuments arise. So here, the basal part at which the two integuments has been arranged. This basal part we can call as chalaja. Okay. So from the cells of nucellus. So earlier we discussed about nucellus. So nucellus is nothing but tissue, surrounding the tissue which is present inside the integuments. So this tissue, the nucellus, the cells of nucellus, one of the cell is differentiated as megaspore mother cell. From the nucellus, one of the cell is differentiated as megaspore mother cell. Okay, and it is diploid in nature. Two sets of chromosomes will be present. Okay, and this megaspore mother cell, it undergo a meiosis process to produce 4 daughter cells. Okay, so megaspore mother cell, it undergo meiosis to produce 4 daughter cells. Okay, so these 4, out of these 4 daughter cells, 3 daughter cells will get disappear. 3 daughter cells will get disappear. So 4 minus 3, we have only 1 daughter cell. So this 1 daughter cell, it acts as female gametophyte or embryo sac. So this is the formation of female gamete. Now male gamete is ready and female gamete is ready. Okay, so male gamete we can consider as pollen mother cell. Female gamete we are considered as a megaspore mother cell. Okay, now we can see here as embryo sac, structure of embryo sac or female gametophyte. Okay, so when we see the structure of female gametophyte or embryo sac, it consists of 7 cells. 7 cells arranged in 3 groups. Yes, you can see here, this is the diagram of female gametophyte or embryo sac. So when we observe the female gametophyte embryo sac, it consists of 7 cells. 7 cells, and they are arranged in 3 groups. 7 cells arranged in 3 groups. Okay, so this is one group, this is second group, and this is third group. So 7 cells are being arranged in 3 groups. Okay, so that is the arrangement of 7 cells in an embryo sac. Okay, as now we can see here, 7 cells, they are arranged in 3 groups in embryo sac. So they are one egg cell. So this we can call as egg cell. One egg cell with 2 synergids, left and right synergids. So one egg cell with 2 synergids. So 1 plus 2, 3. 1 plus 2, 3. Next here, central polar nucleus. Okay, so 3 plus 1, 4. 3 plus 1, 4. And here we have 3 antipodals. 4 plus 3, 7. So total 7 cells are arranged in 3 groups. Again I am repeating the parts here. So 7 cells of embryo sac are present in 3 groups. Okay, these include 3 antipodals. Okay, here at middle we have one polar nucleus, and down we have 3 cells, at which middle we can call one egg cell, and left and right both 2 sides, that consists of synergids. So 2 synergids plus 1 egg cell, 2 plus 1, 3, plus 1 polar nucleus is called 4. 3 plus 1, 4, plus 4 plus 3, 3 antipodals, 4 plus 3, 7 cells. So that is the arrangement of cells, 7 cells in 3 groups of an embryo sac. Okay, next. As we can see here, fertilization process. So how the fertilization will occur within the plants, within the Datura flower. So now we can see here, pollen tube. So after the pollination process, pollen tube, it discharges, it releases 2 male gametes into the embryo sac. So now we have seen about embryo sac. So this pollen tube, it can release 2 male gametes into the embryo sac. Okay, so out of these 2 male nucleus, one male nucleus, it reaches to one male nucleus, it can reaches to, so out of these 2 male nucleus, one male nucleus, it fuses, it combines with egg to form zygote. That is called first fertilization. Okay, out of these 2 male nucleus, one male nucleus fuses with egg to form zygote. That is called first fertilization. Okay, second, one more male nucleus is there. So then one more male nucleus, it fuses with endosperm to form endospermic seeds or non-endospermic seeds. That is called secondary fertilization. So 2 fertilization occurs by the double fertilization occurs in plants within the Datura flower. Double fertilization occurs in Datura flower. Okay, during first fertilization, one male nucleus fuses with egg to form zygote. This is called first fertilization. Okay, and the second male nucleus, it fuses with endosperm to form endosperm nucleus. This is called secondary fertilization. So double fertilization occurs within the Datura flower. Double fertilization, 2 times fertilization. First fertilization and secondary fertilization. Okay, next, after fertilization, zygote has been formed. So this zygote develops into embryo. Okay, and finally the mature embryo consists of stem apex. These are the parts. Stem apex, it is formed from plumule. Stem apex is going to be formed from plumule, stem. Okay, and dicots or monocots or seed leaves, radicle, it can form root system. Okay, all this is the post-fertilization changes, after fertilization. Okay, so these are the changes we can observe in Datura flower after fertilization. Okay, next you can see formation of fruits and seeds. How the fruits, seeds, everything has been formed after fertilization. So after fertilization, ovary of the flower, it can convert into fruit. After fertilization, ovary, it can convert into fruit. So inside the ovary we have ovules. That ovules will convert into seeds. Okay, so these are called post-fertilization changes. After fertilization, ovary will convert into seeds. Okay, so inside the ovary we have ovules. So these ovules, they converted into seeds. Seeds, that's the conversion. And next one, integments. Two integments are the outer and inner integments. So these two integments of the ovule changes into outer and inner seed coats. Seed coats, which can give protection to the seed. Next one, the style and stigma of pistil fall off. They will fall down. Okay. And the calyx, stamens and corolla of the flower drop off. All these will be dropped. Okay. So this is called post-fertilization changes in Datura flower. Okay. Yes. So this is about life cycle in Datura flower. Life cycle. Okay. So now we can see here, this is the Datura flower. Okay. So as you know, flower is the main part of sexual reproduction. Flower is the main part of sexual reproduction. Okay. So we have the parts. Okay. Carpel, stigma, style, ovary, all these parts. Okay. So pollen tube. So after pollination process, pollen tube has been formed. Then this pollen tube, after the formation of pollen tube, so pollen grains, pollen mother cell has been injected into the embryo sac. Then first fertilization, second fertilization will occur to form zygote. So zygote will convert into embryo. So embryo will convert into, so that ovary will convert into fruits, ovule will convert into seeds. Ovary will convert into fruits, ovules will convert into seeds. Okay. Again, seeds, by seed germination, they can convert into, they can start the formation of fruits, stem, and finally flower has been formed. Again, from the flower, from the plant, again flowers will be generated, whether it is unisexual flowers or bisexual flowers. Okay. So this is the life cycle we can observe in Datura flower. Okay. So I hope all of you, everybody understood. So thank you for this.